Thanks very much. This is my third time appearing in front of this audience, and the reception previously has been great, so we're pleased to come again. I was very interested to hear the prior presenter give a tip of the hat to hardware as being important, because that's what we are. We're a hardware company. And we're pleased to see all these data companies that are out there creating data, integrating data, because that data gets to you from the cloud over fiber optic connections. And we are right at the bottleneck of those fiber optic connections to improve speeds and energy efficiency in global communications. Just want to say, please refer to sec.gov and cdar.com for the risks in our filings. POET Technology is a leader in silicon photonics trend that's changing the semiconductor game, moving data at light speed for today's data-hungry technologies. Those include optical transceivers for data centers, artificial intelligence accelerators, wearables for health monitoring, edge computing for the Internet of Things, and LiDAR systems for autonomous vehicles. All of these are hardware systems, or a combination of hardware and software systems. I'm only going to spend one slide on the technology today and talk about our progress mainly in the rest of the slides. Our invention is the POET optical interposer. And we use the POET optical interposer to build things that we call optical engines. And optical engines are all of the components that you need in a device to convert electronic signals that come from servers and videos and so on that are carried on copper into light signals that carry much more data, 100 times more data at 1/10 of the cost and 1/10 of the energy consumption. And they're prominent in these things called transceivers, and we'll talk about that. That's the bottleneck. That's where the electronics gets converted into light, and light goes from the data centers all the way to your home or your office. And so as this audience I'm sure knows, hyperscale data centers are growing rapidly, putting in many at the same time. And the speeds with which data is coming to you are constantly increasing. The energy that's needed to do that is constantly increasing. And so we're addressing a problem that's been around for a very long time, which other companies have not been able to solve as effectively as POET. The optical interposer is disruptive, and it's a platform that we believe beats the competition in large-scale photonics. We can deliver optical engines in transceivers, for example, 20 to 40% lower cost. We don't need all of the expensive equipment and test equipment that others use to make optical engines and modules. In fact, it's 10 times lower in cost. Because we're a chip scale package and we do everything at wafer scale and create a very, very small chip that has all of these different or hybrid components on it, we deliver the same data in the same distance, same power output, with putting 20 to 30% less power into the device. And that is one of the key benefits that data centers in particular are looking for. But really, power and size, power consumption and size in electronics have always been critical factors. In addition to that, we're bringing to module makers and network equipment manufacturers an architecture and a technology that they can use not just for additional generations of products, but also for different applications, as we'll see here. We're focused on optical engines for data centers because we've developed a disruptive product that goes beyond any other existing product in cost, size, and performance, and we're addressing a large market with a well-known need in data and telecommunications and data centers and in switching. And so those are samples that we're now delivering to customers, and I'll say a little bit more about that. To give you an idea of how versatile the technology is, though, we're also working with Celestial AI, which is a VC-backed machine learning company. And it's one of a number of startups in this field of optical computing. What we're doing for Celestial is providing a light source and a kind of optical data transport platform for their chips and their chipset. What's interesting to us about this is that each of the accelerator chips, whether they're in for example, a camera within a retail environment to check facial recognition or check inventory on the shelves, every one of those chips, whether they're in individual devices or whether they're in server farms someplace in the cloud, each of them requires their own individual light source. And these are light sources of 6, 8, 12, 18 lasers, all multiplexed and plugged into these chips. So what that means is for every chip that's optically based in artificial intelligence, there's going to be a light source required. So it's a potentially very large market for us. That's why we're interested in it. We're doing a feasibility study in the wearables market with a well-known company in China that sort of pioneered heart monitoring. And we believe we can compete there because we provide the smallest and most energy efficient platform for the optical sensing of biomarkers, such as your blood sugar level, your pulse, and so on, in a wearable or a smartwatch. There are lots of different applications in this field, and it's a very large total available market. We're investing in applications in other areas. We've talked about these areas before: edge computing, machine-to-machine interfaces, Internet of Things, LiDAR for autonomous vehicles. But we're a small company. We can only do a few things at a time. And our focus today is on the datacom sector and on the artificial intelligence photonics platforms. Over a year and a half ago, we recognized that our customers were going to want, if they're going to want our devices, they're going to want them in large quantities. And so alongside of building out and developing this disruptive technology, we knew we needed a manufacturing capability, and we didn't have the capital to invest in a manufacturing capability. So we found a partner, and that partner is Sanan IC, which is a subsidiary of Sanan Optoelectronics, which is the world's largest compound semiconductor company. And compound semi are the types of materials that produce light or detect light or power and so on. Gallium arsenide, gallium nitride, indium phosphide, those sort of materials. And they're the world's leading producer of LEDs, which is a light source, right? So they're an ideal partner. The joint venture is called Super Photonics Xiamen. It now has 30 employees. It has its own board. It's a Chinese company, and we own a large part of that. As Sanan puts more capital in the company, we'll own less, but ultimately it'll be about a 50-50 joint venture. And that's an asset that we're building in China in a market that really rewards revenue more highly than even the United States. So it's a great partnership, and it's been working terrifically. As we started to do product development as opposed to technology development, we started to engage with potential customers in exhibitions and shows and so on. And I reported last time on the CIOE conference where we demonstrated 6 different products and got a great reception there. Most recently, we did the OFC Optical Fiber Conference in San Diego, where we did live demos of 2 products, completed optical engines, one in 200G and another in 400G on the receive end of the system. The reactions from industry leaders was amazing. We overheard a very prominent person who knows this industry pretty well say it's a work of art, as they were looking through the microscope at our optical engine and seeing the demonstrations that we did live. And he mentioned to a person next to him, you'll never find anything smaller. And you have to understand that small in our industry is really important. We can put 4 of these optical engines in where others can only put 1. And one of our most prominent customers is doing a 400G device using 4 of our 100G optical engines. So this was an important event for us. We have potential strategic engagements with 6 new companies. In fact, I'm here in San Jose with Suresh and Vivek and Raju, meeting with companies all week as a follow-up to this OFC. And we uncovered 8 additional customer opportunities for optical engines on top of the 6 customers that we already have. And I know that some of you are familiar with us will say, oh, there are some new customers, and we'll talk about that later. So our roadmap has a lot going on right now, and we have projected that we will be sending beta samples of our optical engines to customers in the first half. So between now and the end of June, we actually think those are going to go out within weeks, some of them in 100G and CWDM and LR, and 200G. The importance of beta samples is that those are the samples that customers can use for reliability testing, which they do over a period of 3 to 6 months. Once they do reliability testing and they've decided to use POET's optical interposer and the optical engines produced by SPX, Super Photonics, then we're expecting them to provide purchase orders. I won't read through all of this, but I can tell you, this presentation will be on our website. But what we're finding, not unexpectedly, is that companies for 200G FR4, which we showed at OFC, is being deployed by Meta, otherwise known as Facebook, Tencent, and Google. 400G is really currently focused on DR, and the difference between DR and FR is that DR has 8 fibers, and FR, which we do, has 2 fibers. So FR is a way to maximize the investment in fibers by data centers, and so we think that's a standard that will get more attention. And we're doing other things in co-packaged optics. One thing to understand is once we have a 400G engine, we have an 800G engine. In fact, once we have a 400G engine, we have a 1.6 terabit engine, because we can fit 4 of our optical engines in the same form factor or module that others can only fit 1. As a consequence, we're gaining a lot of momentum, and our funnel has increased in size, and it's taking a lot of effort to get back to everybody and to get these customers lined up to accept our samples. Just to briefly, we're headquartered in Toronto. We have operations in Allentown, Singapore, Shenzhen. We have major partnerships with Silterra in Malaysia, and in Xiamen, of course, where SPX resides. So we're very Asia-oriented, very China-oriented, because that's where the customers are. I mean, virtually all module makers that would employ our optical engines, transceiver module makers, are located in China. We only have 50 employees though, but that's 100% up from 25 a year ago. And we have a great management team, lots of PhDs, and of course, mainly engineers and technology people in the company. Just a word on our capital structure. On March 14th, we began trading on the NASDAQ. Prior to that, what we had to do is consolidate our shares. We had 364 million shares out, 365 million shares outstanding. We were a penny stock. We reversed in 10 for 1, so we're now 36 million shares with the price correspondingly increased. And we do have some warrants and options outstanding, including some capital that we expect to be seeing coming into the company from the exercise of warrants here within, towards the end of the calendar year. And so my final slide is why invest in POET Technologies now? Well, for all these reasons: proven technology, first-rate management team, a disruptive technology applying to large markets with huge potential. We're just entering the new product introduction phase. We're delivering samples to customers. They're waiting for them. They're wanting them. They've wanted them for a long time. We're a bit delayed because of COVID and the supply chain issues and so on by about 2 quarters. But we're delivering them now. And we're not widely known outside of Canada. And for those particularly in your audience, we're co-invested with a major company in China. So this is we're a bigger company than we appear to be. We have plenty of videos on our website. We have lots of presentations. We have a list of all the presentations that we've given recently. A lot about our technology is there. And if your listeners don't find what they need there, they're welcome to email me at the address shown. And if there's any time left, Gilbert, I'm happy to take some questions.
Yes, Tom, a couple of questions here. The first one from Dennis. He's asking, can you comment on the recent listing on NASDAQ in terms of how the progress in attracting the US funds to invest or buy your stock there?
Yeah, so we, as most people know, we decided to direct list, and that was for some very good reasons, some of which are public and some of which are not. We direct listed it in a market that's not really very friendly to technology companies, but we're pretty sure that's going to change. Our outreach to institutional investors in the US is just beginning. Basically, what we're really focused on now is gaining coverage from analysts. That's very important, particularly in this kind of environment. Very few portfolio managers will invest in a company like ours without, somebody saying some good things about who we are. And so we're really focused on that at the moment. And with that, and some what we call non-deal roadshows, we expect to attract some institutional investors beyond those that have told us in the past that they wouldn't invest in us until we have fixed our balance sheet, our capital structure, I should say. Our balance sheet is fine, capital structure, and we're no longer a penny stock. So we'll have lots of news on that coming up.
One last question here from Alec J. Does POET still need to spend capital on ongoing R&D?
Well, yes, in the sense that, what we've got is a platform. And, as I said, if we were going to apply that platform to other industries, that's going to take some development activity. So for example, we're engaged in paid development with Celestial AI for this, optical computing platform. And we're spending our own money on the feasibility study in the health monitoring area. And so, yeah, technology companies always invest in development. And that's their lifeblood, is a way to stay ahead of the competition.
Okay. Thank you, Tom, for being here. It's awesome to have you back with us for the first time.
Been great. Thanks very much, Gilbert. Talk to you later.
Thank you.